Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Go-To Food Podcast, brought to you by Blink, the UK company. They're revolutionising the POS game. There's nothing else to say about it. And today we're delighted to be joined by Tomos Parry, the multi-Michelin-starred chef behind Brat and Mountain, a man known for his bold, fire-driven cooking, inspired by the Basque country and, of course, his Welsh roots. Where we find ourselves today, his roots are alive with the sound of music and the crackling of fire as we join you from his weekend retreat / pop-up / collaboration / marrying both his restaurants together. You could say 3 of his restaurants together. If you're getting the archers involved, you might as well, because they've all come down here. What's going on? We're in this incredible farm in rural West Wales. You're a beautiful man, and you're making amazing food. What's happening?
Well, firstly, thank you for coming all the way down here.
Of course.
Well, thank you.
It's a
we enjoyed the commute.
It's a big old commute, isn't it?
It
With
was.
a trusted, trusted trains on the way down here. So yeah, thanks for coming all the way down. I think it's it's a magical part of the world, this Pembrokeshire.
Beautiful.
I mean, I'm from North Wales, but we get a lot of our produce from this part of Wales. Super bountiful. So for me, being able to bring 30 of our team members down here while the restaurants still operate in London, it's been logistically interesting, but I think a really good experience, immersive thing to do with them, to also see where our produce actually comes from and just get stuck in really and experience the wonders of the Welsh countryside.
Amazing. So what, in produce-wise, what is coming from this? Because yesterday you were at Owen, is that how you pronounce it? Which is a farm growing...
Look at you, Ben.
Well, try my best, Freddie.
Yeah. So we have Owen Organic Farms here, run by Adam, which is about 30 minutes away from this location.
Yeah.
Here. And then we have Caramor, which supply us with all our shellfish, really, from cockles to whelks to mussels, some Pembrokeshire oysters. And probably the most significant thing they do is they are one of the only seaweed farms in the UK. I think the only one in Wales. I think there's another one in Scotland.
Yeah.
But it's a really, really forward-thinking, interesting, progressive idea, really. Just regenerative farming in the sea. And seaweed, as we probably know, is incredibly healthy for you and sustainable. And we try and include a lot of their seaweeds on our menus in various forms. We've been out on the boats with them, harvesting. And, for some of the team, I'm lucky enough to have people from across the world working for us because the nature of London restaurants.
Yeah.
I mean, they've never seen anything like it. Obviously, I grew up around this kind of terrain, essentially. So it's it's not new to me, but every time I come back, it's magical.
Yeah.
You've cleverly put this interview in when you should be doing mise en place, or is that already done? I mean, your chef's working hard. Are you avoiding that? And can you tell us what can we expect from this evening's menu? Because it's not often Brat and Mountain collab, Ben. 2 Michelin-star restaurants dancing in the same tune.
I know.
Yeah, it's basically a celebration of everything around here, right? So we're bringing some of our, I suppose, technical know-how from the restaurants, right? So essentially, the restaurants that I run are kind of fairly simple in concept, right? It's great produce, cooked over fire, with great atmosphere. That's kind of what we do, right? So I just thought we'd make that even shorter, right? Make that proximity shorter. So we're really close to the farms. We're cooking over fire outside, and we're creating this restaurant with a wonderful immersive atmosphere where you'll experience and you can walk through the forest into it. So it'll be some dishes that appear on the Brat and Mountain menu, but with some that we made kind of last minute, essentially when we go and visit our cheesemakers locally and our butter makers. So Rob at Cowstavy has made us a beautiful fresh cheese which can only last essentially a week because it's made and it's raw. And we're just going to be serving that with kind of all the raw vegetables that we picked from Owen Farm.
Nice.
So it's kind of something you can't do in London, right? Because of many reasons, the logistics. So some kind of dishes that you recognise, and then some made just because we're right here. It's kind of like the dream setup for me because we have some classics and some new at the same time. It's kind of how.
Do you have the iconic ones coming down? Is the turbot down here or not?
No turbot.
It's gone.
We can't get it.
No.
Here. So
stupid question, Ben.
Yeah, we have lobster caldereta, which is one of the dishes from Mountain. Because our lobsters come from here, right? So cooking them about a couple of miles away from makes sense, right?
Yeah, so we met a couple of chaps last
Talk
night.
us through that dish.
They just had the lobster. They were almost in tears, genuinely.
Yeah. They were in tears.
It was his 50th birthday, and they were just...
yes, I
They were
remember
just
the
going
50th
on and on about
birthday.
how amazing it was. And the lobster was something they particularly were like, never tasted anything like it.
It was so sweet because they, celebrating their 50th here was so nice because obviously it's a bit of a gamble. It's not like the ticket prices are okay. It's not like mega expensive, but not also mega cheap.
Yeah.
So I think there was 8 of them that came down, and they took a punt essentially, right? Because it's anything that's a pop-up or a residency, you're never quite sure how it's going to go.
No.
Is it going to be like, So they took a punt, and thankfully they enjoyed it. A table of 8 of them. They had the lobster. So the lobster dish is kind of like symbolic for mountain, really. As the restaurant is called Mountain because a little nod to where I'm from, the mountains of North Wales.
Yeah.
It's also another nod to the kind of style of cuisine you'd find in the Catalan regions, which is called Mar Montanya. But if you call it in Welsh, which is Mor Mynydd, as you can see here, it's like sounds very similar.
Yeah.
So you have that kind of that connection that I have with that style of cooking. In Wales, there's lots of sea and mountain dishes, right? So a lot of braised dishes because of the style of the cawl, which is a famous Welsh dish, right? Braised, mutton, fforest. So we've kind of created this dish at Mountain which kind of celebrates that. We have the Welsh lobsters cooked in a Catalan style but done our way essentially. So we'll be doing that here. But the lobster caldereta, ours is not the exact same as you'd find in Mallorca or Menorca. It's just our version of it.
Nice.
So, it's just a stew essentially.
Yeah.
Are you Luke Selby, he's leaving Le Manoir, he's heading to Wales. Some of the great restaurants now, Ben and I were talking about it last night over a couple of whiskies in your pop-up pub. Is it time to get out of London? I mean, obviously keep Brat and Mountain, but are you excited by doing something in the countryside? It seems like so many of the great restaurants you go, even down to Coombs Head Farm.
Yeah.
Even, on the other end of the scale, OSIP too.
OSIP, yeah.
Like places where you can properly live and sort of, I don't know, cherish off things 4 or 5 miles around you.
Yeah, it's very appealing. I can't lie. I mean, with 2 young children, running around because I've got my children down here, and so have many have brought their children.
I met your daughter over the toaster this morning.
You did.
Yeah,
beautiful.
She will. She knows how she likes the toast.
She does.
I think
she was screaming at me.
Yeah.
She said it was underdone. I'm sorry.
That's my girl. Yeah. She. So it's certainly appealing, but obviously for me, my joys though come with creating city-based restaurants that can bring some of the countryside into the city, right?
Yeah.
Give that people that moment of escapism. So, and it also, I like them being busy, having people from across the world, a diverse mix in the kitchen and in front of house. That's not to say you can't achieve that outside London, but I like that challenge. So bringing, the Welsh feel or the Catalan or Basque influence to a bustling city restaurant, that's kind of where my future feels right now. But we might, never know in the future. But I do think it's an exciting time for British cuisine, though, because you've got chefs who, as you mentioned, a few examples there, who are confidently opening something they believe in passionately and cooking food that's actually got a distinctive British feel to it, which, you had L'Enclume that used to do that, which they still do, obviously, but I think that was quite, that was one of the only ones at one point, so like really reflective of the terroir, growing their own vegetables. So I love the fact that lots of people like Merlin, etc., are doing this type of thing. For me, this residency means that I'm able to kind of dip my toe into that, expose the chefs to it. Also, so they know, like, the world doesn't revolve around cities or chefs. The world revolves around cuisine and the countryside, and the true kind of the farmers and the growers and the fishermen. So they see that,
100%. Because Ben, you were saying yesterday, obviously London now, so many great restaurants can get hold of such a vast amount of produce.
I feel like there's been over the last decade or so, a huge growth of interest in produce and therefore roots produce getting to London, and it's less difficult to find. Although we spoke to Sally Clark and she said there was a peak in like sort of late 80s, 90s of actually smallholders bringing produce into London, which I think is harder to happen now.
Yeah, sure. I mean, obviously, I wasn't in the scene at that time, but I mean, you've got Sally incredible. I adore like what she does, what Ruthie does at River Café. Through to all of that kind of late 80s scene, through to like, Rowley and Hopkinson. It's like, it kind of makes me wish I was around at that time. It's a very cool scene, right? Yeah. So for me, I no doubt that was an exciting period. But I can't comment on that. But what I would say, I think it's changed. People don't drive in, but people like Flourish, we work extremely hard with. They have just employed a driver, so they will bring people in. They'll deliver. It's 40 minutes away, an hour from Cambridge to London. Yeah. Then you've got people like Shrub who are doing a great job, and like people like Mitsora who really help change the scene. Really, in lifting up that kind of level of produce. I mean, we like to work directly a lot. That's just our preference. The way that we like.
Have you opened up? Like, are there suppliers that you've opened up routes into London? They're working not just with you guys, but now working with other.
Yeah, I don't know if wouldn't want to claim that we kind of created that, but I suppose we were one of the first to use Flourish. I think first or second or something like this early on. I'm sure Calixa from Flourish can confirm that, but it was early doors. I suppose after that, they had the confidence to drive in because it's a big. They're working on the farm. They need to kind of, they have to take a gamble of driving in, wasting 3-4 hours of the day to come in. Where all our orders at Brat were big enough, and a Smoking Goat, our sister restaurant, to do that. So therefore, I think people then they were like, all right, great, we'll do that journey now 3 times a week. It's worth it. But so it's we've done that, and I think with our pigs at Fred at Gothenley Farm, that's happened as well with our grain projects as well. There's lots of individual projects that we've kind of got involved with.
How many turbots are you buying a week in Brat?
It's gone down significantly since we first opened, for many reasons, So essentially we were, at the beginning, I don't know number, but we would sell quite a few because it was a new dish and everybody wants to order it. But now it's not so much. We're focusing on different types of fish, But
is that nice for you guys?
Yeah,
to sort of have
it is
that,
nice. Yeah, we did set in rules early doors that we'd never take a fish underneath 1.2 kg because if a turbot grows on average, I'm sure someone's going to pick me up on this, but marine scientist something like 500 gram a year or something.
Right.
Okay, so that means that they can have 2 lifespans, essentially two breeds. So you're taking them out of the water and they've given back essentially. Yeah. Also, they taste better.
I was going to say, from a cooking perspective, is there a
fattier content? More. I could talk about gelatin and fish for hours, but I'm not sure if everybody wants to listen to that. That'd be a separate pod.
You'd be surprised.
We can do a separate pod.
Yeah, maybe I can do a little. TED talk.
Obviously, Brat, named after the Basque country, we're massively inspired by the Basque country. Obviously, apron and Welsh as well. It's quite beautiful. But turbot dish, El Cano, in just outside San Sebastian. We had Lennox Hasty on recently, who has Fire Door in Sydney.
Yeah. He came to Mountain the other day. It was lovely.
He had a problem with the device they were using there to do their turbot.
Right.
What was your process? Did you take that thing? Because I read somewhere.
What was his problem?
He said it should have been flat.
Yeah, he found that when you flip it, the fish kind of flips around.
Yeah, so that was his. That's so funny. So I had the same thing. So it was 10 years ago I started working on this turbot dish, directly inspired by Guettaria, the town of El Cano. So that is obviously I will never say that wasn't directly influenced. So I went there and I tried to buy cages, and I kind of found that issue as well. So we worked with a friend to make our own, and I actually have all the turbot cages that I kind of didn't make the cut in my so he'd make them, a guy called Tom Bunn, and I think I still got the drawing. It had to be the right gap between. I can't remember now what it was, 18 centimeters it was. So the dome needs to be not too high because of but then also you don't want it flat because you can't have the fattier fish. So I kind of found the perfect dome. So he made all of them, and he still makes ours now. Wow. So to me, they're the perfect kind of mix between flat grill and the domey grill. Yeah. So turbot cage. So that's the kind of level of nerdiness that I like to get involved with in the restaurants. There's less process in the actual getting a product in and putting on the plate. There's not loads of process there. The process goes in the sourcing, in the kind of building our own grills, building our own fish cages. that type of side of things, which takes months and sometimes years. But yeah, I agree with that. That does. I found it a little bit tricky to get the right perfect thing on the turbot cage.
People obviously, you've kind of potentially oversimplified the process, but that kind of the good produce, cook it over fire, everyone's happy. But how hard is that piece about cooking over fire? Because it's not a controllable. I mean, it is a controllable heat, but in a less specific way than cooking on stoves and stuff.
Exactly. Yeah.
How has that been a process for you to kind of understand? That and
so the fire. Cooking over fire for me, if I just go back a few steps, because I grew up in rural Wales, it was everybody cooked over fire, not in this kind of romantic way. It was just that we always used to cook on the beach, just cook mackerel on the beach, cook things in the mountains. Not saying we did that lunch and dinner, but it was like,
but it was like a regular
normal. It's some friends of mine grew up in the city, haven't been exposed to that, but it's pretty normal for me. And so for me, it was almost standard thing. This beautiful house that we're sitting in, which is not mine, just FYI. I wish it was.
Claim it.
But, this will be. But they've got a beautiful wood-fired oven in here, and that smell of wood burning is everywhere around this area, as you may have noticed. It was very common for me growing up. Obviously, back in the day, there would be no electricity and gas in a lot of rural places. So cooking over fire was very second nature to me. And then I cooked in some restaurants through my career. But I always knew that I wanted to focus on my fire cooking because it's something that connected me. So that did take a lot of time to get you kind of use a lot of intuition, this type of thing with that. But I tell you where it is hard is when you're hiring extremely skillful chefs who are fantastic, lovely people, really good, but it's just cooking with fire changes daily, right? And it takes weeks for the team to kind of adapt, because it's not a switch on and off kind of thing, right? It's not like turn it up to 120, 180. You have to really find your way around it, which can be quite frustrating. Yeah, but I also quite like that for chefs, because it makes people think a little bit differently, that's the real world, really. You have to be able to kind of flex with it.
Yeah. Are you similar to... we've had Nicholas Ekstead on, and obviously and Lennox, lovely, and they build these very specific different types of fires, and Nicholas builds his little chimneys or his little ovens out of. Or do you guys have a kind of nice, simple grill, and that's what you kind of? Yeah,
ours is a bit more simple in that sense. I know Nicholas extremely well, and we're good friends. And what he does is fantastic. It's way more Nordic than me, and he's a specialist at focusing on different types of fire for different types of things. For me, it's a wood oven with oak and birch, a blend of, and then it's the charcoal grill is charcoal. And you season that fire with little bits of wood, depends what flavour, kind of smoke you want. But it's a charcoal base. Yeah. And it's quite a simple setup in that sense. We just do that, and our grills are based around that as well, so you can lower up and down. But I've eaten at Nicholas's restaurant quite a few times. Not had the pleasure to eat at Lennox's because...
it's a hell of a long way away.
Well, even though I was in Australia this year cooking at the Melbourne Food Festival, I was in Melbourne, right? So I didn't. But hopefully, in very soon.
That would have been a collab we want to see. Two Basque boys in a way.
I did. We did have a bit of a chat about me and Lennox when I first met him at Mountain last week. So hopefully that can do that.
Come on, watch
but I do
space.
I do Lennox. I like with Lennox is he had he's got quite a classical background.
Yeah.
And then gone into fire cooking, and it's I trained classically in Cardiff with a chef called Grady Atkins, very classical French, and it's interesting those kind of basics that you need, not basics but fundamentals, I'd say.
Are you still seeing that with the chefs coming through now, or is it a different? It seems it's changed.
Yeah, it's different. Yeah, it's hard to know where we'll be in 4 or 5 years time, but it's almost a bit. There is a difference. I think what you've got is, you can see the change of culture in kitchens, which is fantastic, right? But the change of learning culture has also changed. But I think, so I'm trying to adapt the style, because I love my teams to know the fundamentals of creating cuisine, creating sauces, creating, the kind of fundamentals you need. I guess it's so, sounds a bit, not pretentious, but essentially if you've got an artist that it's quite good to do lists of fine art before you start breaking the rules, essentially. so when I do the fire cooking with them, I'm always keen to also try and teach them how to make a good sauce, how to fill it, all the stuff you need to prepare yourself for the real world, because that's what you need. But also I want to prepare them for life after that certain restaurant, because that's kind of what I experienced in my, I kind of didn't feel when I was coming through the ranks, essentially, there wasn't much preparation for the afterlife. So when you kind of leave that restaurant, how do you become a little restaurateur, or how do you set yourself up for a pension or life afterwards? Because if you're not careful, it can be something that gets you from 20 to 40 years old.
And then
and you can be slightly burnt. It's knackering, right? So we are very keen on setting everybody up to be well versed in everything, whether it's stock management, P&L, GP, so they become mini restaurateurs as well as chefs, because there's nothing that'll make me happier than looking back in 20 years and they're all doing something, at least making a living. They don't have to have Michelin stars or X, Y, Z, but they're making a living, whether it's running a cookery school, whether it's doing whatever really in food world, right? But they need to learn. They need to be rounded when they leave.
It's funny you said that. Richard Corrigan said the exact same thing. He was like, the hardest thing was going from head chef or sous chef to restaurateur. Because you've got no preparation.
We've had a lot of people say it, and that was historically why there was potentially relatively poor kitchen cultures, because talented cooks had never been given the fuller picture, and then are head chefs, and it's a hell of a job, and suddenly you're kind of you're good at cooking.
You're like, oh my god,
and so it's fascinating that you're trying to expose people to like the fully rounded picture of the business.
And I'm going to give credit to my partners Ben Chapman and Brian Hannon, who are the founders of Super 8, for instilling this in early doors as well. So I mean, I don't know if you know the history of Super 8, but obviously, so Ben and Brian started smoking goats. Then they opened a fantastic restaurant called Kiln, which is still to this day, one of my favourites.
Amazing, isn't it?
My go-to, go-to.
Thank you.
And now, of course, whenever I have friends visiting from across the world, whatever, we have some Kiln. You've got to go to Kiln. Right? It's just so 100%. Unique, such a trailblazing restaurant. But they, then I started Brat with them, obviously. So then they really had this ethos early on, and obviously I've continued that with them. So we do put a lot on our chefs to understand that process. It's cooking, sure, but a lot of it is also to understand what the hell's going on when you get by that thing, and you've got the whole sourcing, like how much you pay the farmer, all that kind of stuff. I think a lot of people say they do that, but we really do, and it's I hope it pays dividends for them in their future careers, and they can do stuff.
How much of your restaurant is mise en place? I mean, we spoke to Nathan Outlaw, and he said that like he gets the boys in early, and actually when it comes to service, I mean, obviously you're cooking over fire, so it's a lot more to service in that point. But like, do you try and minimise the amount of risk of things going wrong? I mean, on the other end of the scale, Ashley Palmer-Watts, winning the 2-star Dinner by Heston, said like everything was could be done by waiters.
Sorry,
because it was so like programmed and
like precise, almost scientific.
Like checklist, like put the induction hob to 4 for a minute.
So it's fun because I have a lot of chefs who have come from those brilliant restaurants, but we don't. So mine is a blend of classical approach and almost my style essentially, where it's fire cooking, so therefore there's only so much you can recipe in, right? And so I love obviously a prep list, and I love that combination of being organized, but also you need to build an area where the chefs feel comfortable in changing dishes a la minute, because the produce is different every day. So it's actually quite in one part I wish I was if I could rewind the clock and be like, okay, maybe I could do it where we just measure everything and they kind of know where I stand. I could maybe sleep better. Whereas like some days it's like different personalities in the kitchen require different conversation, so you do get a way more expressive kind of plate of food, but it's not as simple as like it's all done in the prep and then service is pretty straightforward. It's almost 50-50, right?
Because I was speaking to a chef last night who was saying like so many people are leaving the Devonshire, for example, because they're just bored of doing the same. Like, there's no freedom to cook. There's no sort of... You're never really on the edge. Because...
You want to be on the edge.
Yeah, so for me, that magic happens on that, like, 1%, on that line between being set and not being set for service. So when I was cooking, you know, I did a brief time at the Ledbury, and so it blew my mind. So I worked, I can't remember how many years now, in Cardiff under a fantastic chef.
I think it was 5, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I was working for, so I worked for free while I was at university.
Yeah.
There. Well, you probably can't say that these days.
Which is crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
We should say free as in no money, not 3 years.
yeah.
Just
it
for
was,
people again.
Yeah, I was,
unbelievable.
I was doing like part-time shifts at that restaurant called Le Gallois, which was the Welsh. It's called the Welshman. Fantastic restaurant, which I really wish it's not there anymore. I can't remember what it's been changed to now. But anyway, at the time, it was the leading restaurant in London, classic French.
Yeah.
Everyone used to go there. It was really high end. You know, probably would have had a star maybe now. I don't know.
Yeah.
So I had some fantastic training under a chef called Grady Atkins there, and it was simple. It was great. You know, one person in each section. You do your mise en place. You go home. It's fantastic. It was never crazy busy because it wasn't. And then I moved to London, and then I immediately started at Ledbury the day after. I was not ready for this, not because I wasn't ready for London. Do you know what I mean? I wasn't ready for the whole thing. So I wish I'd probably taken a few weeks just to kind of understand where I lived and all that kind of stuff first before starting that. And it was an amazing experience to see this kitchen. So I was like, wow, it's 2-star, but they're cooking à la minute. They're cooking.
Crazy.
They're not. And I remember Brat saying it, or the chef saying, like, just accept that you're not going to be set. It's fine. We're just going to roll, because that's how the creativity happens, you know. So things would come in through the door, and then it'd be carving, like prepping it, and then getting it in a pan and sending it. And in my mind, reading cookery books, it was all about being super set, you know, super like on place, twiddling your thumbs, 5 minutes to go, just to go, right, we're ready. But in that restaurant, they kind of blew my mind in the sense of like, that's not how the great food is made. It's made by some things being set, of course, but just reacting. And I can see it now, like delivery people coming through, big box of game. There was like a chopping board at the end, and they would just like prep it and cook it, and then, you know. And Brat was heavily involved that time, that in the kitchen. Yeah. So just seeing that really changed my perspective on what being set
sort of
meant.
liberates you. You can be,
you're being set 70%, but knowing 30% you will have to be doing à la minute, and knowing that is actually where the beauty happens in cuisine, because you've got, you know, it was quite a magical thing. And thinking that person was risking their 2 stars or wants to get 3 on that edge was really interesting for me.
Yeah, it's interesting because Phil Howard told a similar story, didn't he? He used to almost like deliberately have a box of fish delivered in service, and then the chefs would look at him and go like, "You're not." He'd go like, "Yeah, let's go." Yeah. And like almost to create that atmosphere of like, we're on the edge, we're going to make this work. Yeah. And similarly operating a 2-star. I mean, Phil got 2 or 3 at the Square at the time.
Yeah, 2.
2. And you think it's madness. You think that's all about consistency and all about whatever.
Exactly. Yeah.
But there's obviously something in that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there is. I think it's in a lot of creativity, actually. I'm not going to. I think in a lot of creative jobs as well, I think they teach you to be ready to rip up your piece of paper, rip up your idea and move on quickly, or to be on that edge. That creative tension at the end is like really gives you a spark. I mean, it's stressful, but you know, it's. I think it does create some magic. I think I'm kind of trying to recreate this in this residency here with the chefs, because I'm like, these boxes are just arriving from the farmers, and you're having to kind of like, cool. So it's nice.
So how come you went from Brat? Did you go from Brat to the River Café?
Yeah,
because that's quite an extreme. You've gone to the classical French training, and then because the chef you worked for, Grady, he spent some time in California, right?
Yeah, that was really. I was extremely lucky actually, because he was French classically trained, worked with Nico, etc., in big hotels in London. Incredibly accomplished chef. But then he moved to California in the late 90s, early 2000s. So and then he was opened up to all the kind of farm to table stuff, you know,
shape it easy
kind of down. And then he was also like vegan cuisine was taking off there, all that way before it was a thing kind of here. Yeah. And so he's incorporating all of this new Californian approach to French classics. So we would do like vegan dishes, but not talk about it, but it happens to be vegan, this type of thing. And then just little tweaks to classical French that was really interesting. So I kind of got that eye onto like, oh right, you know, farm to table. I hadn't really heard much about it really at that time, because everything I used to read about were British chefs generally. You know, a lot of your markers through to like some of the French chefs, this type of thing. So then when I was at Ledbury, I called Grady and I was like, I think the farm to table approach was very interesting that you talked to me about, and obviously I'd heard about River Café. Basically, why don't you just pop down the road? I lived in Shepherd's Bush, right? And knock on the door and see if you can do a few days there, because that is as closest thing there was to farm to farm to table ish, and certainly in West London, obviously. So I had a chat and they were like, "Do you want to start?" So I just kind of jumped in there, really, a couple of years there, and it was really interesting. Obviously, completely different in style to Ledbury and French Classic. I mean, they had their approach of writing the mise en place in the morning list for everyone. I mean,
amazing, isn't it?
It was amazing, and they still continue to do it. 38.
So take our listeners through that if they don't quite understand, if they're not in the food world.
Yeah, so so essentially the way, I don't want to get this completely wrong because it was about 12 years ago, but it was but it basically you have the so you all meet in the morning, all the beautiful produce comes in. And essentially, the head chef of the day, they had about 3 or 4 different types, 3 or 4 kind of head chefs. The Sham was being the main one with Ruthie, and unfortunately, I didn't get to work with Rose. But and they would just you'd write write each chef's name, and then you'd write a job for each person to concentrate on. But it would only be 2 things max, right? So you'd be doing the risotto, and then you'd be doing one of the pasta things. You'd be doing one of the caponata or something. You'd go away and then focus on that dish.
And would that be on you to take that dish all the way through produce, all the way to being ready?
Yeah, so produce, get the recipe, and then finish it. Right. So, and then you put it onto the section of whoever's doing it. So it was so different.
Yeah.
So different, but again liberating, because you're like, okay, there's another way of doing things. What I've seen now is classical French, Ledbury style 2-star but à la minute. Then you've got River Café. Who do things again a la minute, but again completely different, like hyper seasonal. So I've now just got my brain full of these things. I'm like, okay, cool. So when I come to do my restaurant, because I was definitely going to do a restaurant regardless.
Really?
Yeah, it's from day one, because I just that's just the way I wanted to do it. I really wanted to do this. This is the kind of thing from day one. I started cooking.
So from that, like 16 or whatever you were.
From when I was at university, when I did history and politics. I knew halfway through that I wasn't really into the academic academic style thing. Yeah. Even though I love the history and study, I love history anyway. That's why I like history of food and stuff like that. I'm always interested. But I knew that I was determined to open a restaurant, and I was going to try and just figure things out and make sure I could run a restaurant that I'd be happy in, and therefore hopefully the team would then be happy in. So then on River Café, it was confusing at start, right? You were literally like, I'm going in, I've never done this type of risotto before, so I have to get everything, then you're like kind of making it, and then you're kind of a bit worried about it, obviously, because there's one big batch, it's already on the menu, so it's got to be right. So then you're like, okay, and then and then you're in the zone, and then you put it on whoever section it is, and then they finish it, and they send it, and it's all good, and it's 38 years later. I mean,
but how does that work with 3 or 4 head chefs? Because I can't imagine.
So just to get, so they've got,
they rotate, don't they? But I mean,
they rotate, yeah.
So still,
I think Sean is the head chef with Ruthie, and then they have I don't remember the.
But no other kitchen has that, do they?
No, they don't.
No, again, a unique way of setting it up. Yeah,
and I think for me, I don't have 4 head chefs, but I also do have a head chef and 2 senior sous, which operate as I need them to be 3 head chefs essentially.
Yeah.
For instance, to do this project out here, I need my restaurants to be really watertight. So I know the people who are back in London right now are as good, and I think you need to build robustness into your restaurants anyway. It can't be relying around one head chef. It's quite a bizarre thing if you think of any other business. It's relying around one person.
No, of course, it's crazy. Yeah. Well, what about creativity? I mean, I know travel's a huge thing. Obviously, more Welsh-inspiring Mountain, more Basque-inspiring Brat. But how important is it for you and your team to keep traveling? Because surely that's the time where you go abroad and you get inspired without realizing.
Yeah, for us, as Super 8 as a whole, right? So again, I'm going to give credit to Ben Bryan again for this as well. From day one, with Smoking Goat, they are heavily investing in their Thailand trips. Ben and I have been friends way before restaurant.
Yeah.
We started making restaurants anyway, so we'd always quite connected in our kind of mentality towards things. You just go to the place, go eat, and travel. All the best ideas come when you're traveling, when you're in the airport with your team, when you're delayed with your team, you're on the bus, you're in the taxi, things go wrong, and it's kind of actually quite interesting when things go wrong. And then for me, I find it quite perplexing where people don't have a frame of reference when they open a restaurant, because like for me, it's like when I speak about these dishes, I can be like, I remember that dish we had in that bar. Oh yeah, I remember. I was like, why was it good? What was it? What were you feeling at the time? And oh yeah, that was. And then it, in some ways, it helps me because it's a bit like I don't need to talk to you about the kind of why that dish isn't good anymore, do I? Because they're like, oh yeah, they wouldn't. That doesn't make sense because what we spoke about on that trip. So financially, we have to invest a bit, and time-wise.
Yeah.
But I do think it comes back in spades. It's work, touch all wood. That the restaurants are flying, they're going strong after 10 years or so. But travel is one of the main reasons why I got into cuisine and cooking is travel, right? Because diversity of thought, diversity of people, diversity equals strength, right?
Yeah.
So whether you're the more people you mix with, the stronger you become, I think. So I'm just really obviously you have to be a little bit careful you're not away from the restaurant for too long, but I do think that if done correctly, it's hugely valuable, and that's why I've dragged you guys out here as well to just to get you more Welsh, by the end of this
you learned some Welsh on the train yesterday, Ben, didn't you? We were sat next to a Welsh teacher. The Welsh government are doing a sponsorship scheme now where they sponsor teachers to go and learn Welsh fully and then go back to their schools and teach it to the English teaching ones. So it's quite beautiful.
Yeah, they want to get a million native Welsh speakers by...
You learned the word for microwave, didn't you?
Oh, God.
Yeah, but I got it... No, it's like Pongy Ping or something.
Yeah, it's not quite...
But he said that was the child's voice. But
he was teaching you like a child.
Yeah. He was treating me like a child.
Okay, yeah.
But it was great. It was amazing to sit there and chat to the guy.
Do you have your Duolingo downloaded for this?
No.
Okay.
You should get those new AirPods where they translate.
It's quite fun. It's like it's very, very old language, right? So it's actually it was amazing last night in the service. There were so many Welsh speakers, and having the room just humming with like the Welsh language was quite amazing. So it's quite amazing. I can over romanticize it, obviously.
Please,
as Welsh, Welsh people, we do like to romanticize the our culture, but it is quite special. Like I said, so many chefs in front of house from across the world were just like, what's going on here?
What's going on?
Guys, it's just another part of the UK.
Lean into it.
Yeah, exactly. And you wouldn't think twice, would you, in Basque country or Catalan to hear that? But it's
well, they're quite similar. Some of the writing.
Yes, lots of the words cross over. Yeah, like
really?
Mel, which is honey in English, and male is male in Catalan and in Welsh. And then, if I look at the menu here, the ensamada, which we'll be serving at the dinner tonight, but also at Mountains, our kind of signature pudding, essentially. Word enzyme, cyme in the middle means pork fat in Welsh and in Catalan, and there's so many of these little like connections there. So
talking about signature puddings, I mean, obviously Basque cheesecake was a mainstay when you guys were doing the early days of Brat. I'm sure it's still knocking about from time to time, but apparently that was another thing you were inspired by from the River Café, was sort of just changing it with the seasons, like what came with the Basque cheesecake. Is that right?
At Brat, we have minimum space. I mean, if you've been, right, so when you've seen the size of it, when you see the kitchen, that's all there is. Yeah. At the back, there is an area for cleaning plates, like the KP section. That's basically it's a tiny walk-in. So I couldn't really make any puddings if I'm, So there's two things. I had to decide on one that was kind of going to work and iconically, and also I couldn't afford a pastry chef, essentially. So it'd have to be a pudding that any chef would be able to do, and would also have the wood-fired element, which I love. Yeah. So this Basque cheesecake is a fairly foolproof recipe. It's also delicious. It also has wood fire and doesn't require a whole pastry section, right? So and also there's an element of, I like finishing a meal with I like puddings that can be eaten at breakfast and at dinner, right? So there's some things like an example would be, like anything cake-based like that, right? Yeah. So like ensamada, for instance, at the at Mountain is breakfast in Mallorca, right?
Yeah.
It's pastry, but also for dinner, if you warm it up and brulee, it's a dinner thing. The terroir, which is the Catalan French toast, again, French toast is breakfast, but it can also be dinner. So I kind of like those puddings. That's much as my preference. So I settled on the Basque cheesecake, and it worked. It got people. Thankfully enjoyed it.
It blew up.
Yeah,
It started a movement.
I'd also obviously taken some flack of probably Brat think they kind of created that, but definitely didn't. Is obviously massively influenced by the Basque country, but I suppose we added a few elements. Like we added some like the curds, like cow's curd or goat's curd, just to kind of give it some acidity and this type of thing. But it's a very different thing to the thing you have in the Basque country, but this is our version,
Yeah,
and it's
very
but
delicious.
and you change the fruit with the seasons, and that's kind of why we had it. Really, we don't have the space for pastry, so we had to have one. We've added a few more now, just a few ice creams.
So it was almost an accident, you popularising the Basque cheesecake in the UK. Almost.
Almost.
Yeah,
It's a good Instagram title.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll take that.
Yeah. What was the history of Brat? Apparently it used to be a strip club, brothel, is that right?
Yeah, it's amazing, amazing buildings, really iconic building. The White Horse, if I haven't got that wrong. Yeah. So Ben, Brian and I went to look at it, and they wanted to open a Soho goats there. It's 2-floor sites, well 3 floors. There's a basement where our in-house butchery is right now.
Nice.
And then we went to have a look at it, and it still had its velvet curtains and this type of thing. There was no electricity there, so we were going around it with torches on our phones, and just catching a glimpse of all these kind of velvety kind of dark things. And there was a lot of artwork up there which looked like there's pictures of Gilbert and George up, and it felt really East End. And I fell in love with that room, right? It's such a beautiful corner room with all the wooden paneling, right?
And is that all original? Was that there?
All original, yeah.
Really?
All of it's original. So obviously you're not going to touch that because it's great. So we basically had a room like that. So we just put a bar down the middle, which is probably unconventional. But then we like that kind of feeling where you don't know where anything begins and ends, because you kind of walk into the restaurant, there's a pass, you walk around, and it's meant to be. Have you ever had the chance to go to one of those secret places in San Sebastian? There's supper club places. What they call the underground gastronomic society.
Yes. Yeah.
So you go downstairs, and it's a. I think they appeared during the Franco years, and there were some ways of protecting the Basque culture underground. I believe they were only men only at the beginning, and they would go down and cook and hang out and chat politics and food and culture, I think. Anyway, so I had the women are allowed now, I understand. So they're basically, they still exist. They probably changed their purpose slightly, but you go down and it's all wooden panelled, and it feels like an old kind of members, like a yacht club or something you have in the UK. And it's they're really cozy, and you just have this kitchen in the middle, these wooden panels. So I just felt that was quite evocative of a similar feel.
Yeah.
I mean, certainly, obviously, it wasn't. We didn't do it like men's only or women's only. It was very very nice. It was very. It kind of gave that feeling. So I thought, oh, great. So, combination of again Ben, Brian, and myself came up with the kind of how we're going to make this work, how we're going to get a fire on the first floor in a big building like the T building, which is. It's quite a famous building, the T building. Anyway, they were very nice, the landlords and everyone, so they let us do it. So then, we left it kind of how it was. It still has that energy in the room of this old style, but I think it feels modern as well, because it's full of people doing exciting cooking. Even though so then you've got but I was a bit nervous about the site because it's a little doorway. Shoreditch kind of wasn't what it was then. Yeah. So to kind of lure people from across London.
Walk up the stairs.
What was in there? Was Lyle's around the corner?
Lyle's was there. Lyle's was there. Yeah, Lyle's had been open for a couple of years, so they were doing great. Yeah. But it had a lovely big sign there. Yeah. So I was a bit like, oh God, how are we going to get people around the
other side?
So, but then that signage kind of just kind of had it sticking out. But I think there's something quite magical. Coming up the stairs, like all 5 senses are kind of engaged.
Yeah.
So you can smell the smoke pretty quickly. You can kind of hear the buzz, and you can hear the fire if you kind of crackling, I suppose. Hopefully you can taste it in the food, like the smokiness, and then you can certainly feel some of the heat. So as soon as you come up, everything's engaged.
When we went there for that Hunan collab, it was amazing.
Oh yeah, that was quite wild.
That was incredible.
Yeah, that was a wild collaboration. That's one of our fun ones because it was just we always enjoy doing collaborations, but it's that was really magical because you had, how long have Hunan been there for? But
I mean,
they've been
at least 40 years, right?
Yes, so long, and it was really special to have them come all the way over.
So cool.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah.
But I mean, come on. You were worried about getting people through the door. You shouldn't have been, because you won a Michelin star within 6 months. Giles Corrin called it the best restaurant in Europe. I mean, Tim Hayward said it was going to be the next St. John in terms of legacy. How incredible was that, firstly? And then secondly, Mountain won a Michelin star within 6 months as well.
Yeah.
Do you get, like, Ben and I were talking about this the other day, like when you've got 2 incredible restaurants, do you ever sort of worry about people coming in because they know, and everyone says that these are the 2 greatest restaurants in the world? Normally when people go in to dine, they're not so sort of judgmental. They just let the experience happen.
Yeah.
Do you have to try and sometimes fight against people coming in with such an expectation? And they're almost, other people we've interviewed have said, you now get people who are like coming and they want to be disappointed in a weird way. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like they want to be, that wasn't actually as good. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, we...
Sorry, that was a lot of questions.
No, I think it's very... It's a great point. I grew up with the Michelin star, like it's been the ultimate thing to achieve. When you was watching it from afar when I was growing up, reading cookbooks and whatever, growing up when I was 14, 15, reading this thing, it was like the thing to get and to achieve. And so I wasn't sure whether I should become like, which I should have be chasing that, because I wasn't sure, because I thought that you'd have to do a certain type of cuisine to earn it. I was so happy, and so it was when we got it. I was very confident in the cuisine. I knew it was good because I put so much work into it. I trust people close to me when we talk about food and we taste it and we eat it together and we're like, this is good. This we put money into it and everything. So I kind of. And then when we got the recognition of the star, I was like, okay, great. I mean, then that's incredible. But I was fairly surprised because it was so early. Yeah. And at that time, there wasn't that many restaurants, I suppose, in that nature receiving that type of recognition. But I was, extremely happy about it. What people expectations-wise, we did have to early on. That was quite tricky. Just managing people's we like a buzzy room, right? We like atmosphere. It's absolutely critical to what we do at my restaurants and the whole of Super 8. That's all. We're about atmosphere, produce people, right? That is our, our thing. That's what we like. And we like buzzy atmospheres where you have solo diners, walk-ins, and reservations. If you put those things all together, it can be quite a busy room, right? It can become quite wild because it's fairly unpredictable. So, and to me, that's a fantastic thing. And I think to you, I think you like that type of thing. I think a lot of the modern diners like that dining room. And New York was slightly ahead of the game with that, because when I used to go to restaurants like Estella, for instance, I think they got a Michelin star. It didn't feel like a traditional one, but it was buzzy, it was exciting. So, but some people, that is like, it was they kind of wanted their own space. Our tables are fairly close together. They wanted full table service, like full and different type of service where they're completely dedicated, where we are quite flowy and it feels a bit more like a restaurant in San Sebastian or the northern Spain bars. So it was hard to manage that expectation a little bit, but thankfully we rode through that. We really had some tough weeks where I had to kind of, we had to be like, it's okay. Well, there's enough people that like what we do to deal with that. And also then now the reputation is it's kind of built itself now. So people do know it's wooden tables, no tablecloth, all that kind of stuff. So it's built enough of
sort of foundation people know.
Yeah, I think so. But you still have it, and you know what? I don't mind. Some people have to work extremely hard to earn their money to travel down to London, they want. You know, some of us are lucky enough to eat out most days.
Yeah.
Like if we're in the industry, like I mean, you guys, myself, really. You know, a lot of people I know probably eat in Michelin star restaurants often.
Yeah.
That's just the nature of our industry, right? But some people get once a year. So I don't really blame them for having massive expectations.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And like we try our best to do it. If it's not quite what they thought, we will deal with that. We will maybe invite them back or make them feel happy about it. Generally, you go 9 out of 10 times it's great.
Yeah.
But I don't also blame them as well, because I also do know that like people work extremely
100%.
hard.
Yeah.
So they want that. And I completely respect that.
But have you noticed customers change over the last 6-7 years? I mean, a lot of people we speak with they're getting more brutal. They're not eating as much. They're not drinking as much. They're not ordering as much. Like obviously your bills are going up with taxes and NI and everything. Is it tough?
Yeah, you have to be very, very robust. Like I said, you have to be able to build robust. Your concept has to be robust. You also have to build in robust knowledge within your team. So when I was talking about making them mini restaurateurs, essentially, they have to be able to come with you on the ride, i.e., deal with headwinds that are coming in. It's hard to deal with climate change, as in like restaurant climate change. If your whole team doesn't understand why. So, for instance, I'm looking at my menu now. I've actually been price changing things here, but not to actually. It's just more to kind of, if they don't understand why things are going up and down in price, it's confusing. But you really got to get them into the zone of why it's happening. And if you've got everybody locked in, it's all right. You know what I mean? But it's quite hard if it's just you leading from the top down. But it is tricky, and it's absolutely not. It's not a easy ride. I think it's probably more to come as well in that. And London, the only good thing is like there's a lot of restaurants opening, which is fantastic. But I also I think that's quite an encouraging sign in some ways, because it means that there's business there. I think after Brexit it was very hard, but I'm just fingers crossed that.
Starting to recover.
Yeah, it starts to recover in some ways.
You did a stage in Noma. What was that like?
Great. I mean, I wasn't there for that long. You know, like 4 months or something. It was just when they're about to close the summer. I remember speaking to Ruth Rogers about it. When I was about to leave to go to Noma, Ruthie and I were talking about it, and I think at the time. Again, very different to River Café, but bizarrely very, very similar. You know, extremely well sourced. Yeah, produce. Huge team doing very different. Like the prep list is very different. Like, I mean, really, really true to, you know, their ethos, uncompromising. I know, like River Café is based on Italian and like British produce, but you know, like they're not worlds apart. Even you know, they're very, very. They're trailblazing, groundbreaking restaurants in their own ways. So I actually found them weirdly similar in that sense. I knew the impact of Noma onto that city. I knew the impact of River Café onto the city. So I wanted to experience what's it like to run a world's 50 best.
Was it
restaurant.
tough?
Yeah, and what was it?
Yeah, it was long hours and lots of stuff where you know, I used to have to do. They don't use any produce that's not from Denmark, right? So, which is amazing to see. But I think one of my jobs was because I didn't use black pepper, right? So, if I remember correctly, I just had to juice a lot of horseradish in the morning. First job, it looks like, and your eyes are like kind of it's quite. And then you have to put little pots of horseradish on each section. So they would use the horseradish juice as black pepper, you know, so that's the black pepper seasoning. Wow. But it was good though, because I went in summer, so it was like, so I keep my head out the window and then they saw this horseradish. But again, it was an amazing experience. I got involved with the MAD symposium there. That was an eye opener as well. Actually, it was inspiring again to what we're doing here, in the sense of like just getting people who are like-minded into one place is incredible. I I really found it informative, and I was working with some of the kind of people that were there in the original years. I was working at the original Noma, not the new one. So it was great. I managed to have a few words with Renee here and there, even though it was super busy. But it was really invaluable. But again, I wish I could have actually worked there for a long time. But I started cooking a little bit later than most people. Started in my early 20s, so time really wasn't on my side.
Was it Tom Sellers? Was that his?
Sellers was there.
Yeah, was it Sellers who was saying in an episode which is yet to be released? We should remind the public that after service, sometimes you'd have to then start like putting dishes forward or something. Like at like 1 a.m, you're like knackered and people.
I remember some of that. Obviously, because I was not working properly there, it was quite funny watching some guys just bringing up new dishes. I was like, wow, how are you even reaching for that? Finding those things. They did the Saturday night project or Sunday night project, they called it, which is actually quite cool. Like at the end of their week, even though I'm sure pretty exhausting, like 2-3 a.m, come up with all these new dishes, and then everyone would rate them, and then
it's quite cool.
Yeah, it was cool. Yeah, but they grafted extremely hard to achieve what they did.
Yeah.
Then they had 2 days off, but then they were, I was pretty blown away with how they got there and how they managed to do those things.
Well, you end up at Climpton Arches in Hackney. You're making a storm. You're cooking over fire. Everyone's loving you.
Yes.
Everyone's absolutely loving you. Inspired by Burnt Ends a bit. Is that right?
Yeah, by Dave, for sure.
Is he still going well in Singapore?
Pointsy, I don't know.
Yeah, really well. Yeah,
I think.
Yeah. Dave is a good friend of mine. He's also been a bit of a mentor in the sense of he's a few years ahead of me. And obviously, he started his restaurants before I did. Fire-based cooking. I've never worked with him, but I've spent a lot of time with him, and
beautiful.
Yeah, he's a lovely guy, and so essentially there was the Climpton's coffee roastery area. So I came back from Copenhagen, not quite sure what to do. And then.
Had you met James Nappet?
Yes, we went to open the kitchen table with him.
Nappy, yeah, he's a good boy.
Yeah, I didn't like
him.
No, I didn't get. It wasn't like my type of cuisine anymore. Like I've kind of moved on. It wasn't my thing. You know, like I'd got to that age where I was like, right, I wasn't really it was a different time in my career. You know what I mean? And I think I
you're done with that amount of mise en place.
Yeah, but also and I also didn't. For me, it was that they're doing the tasting. I'd kind of already said that once I seen Noma, I was like, okay, I want to do something which I really believe in. I've seen Renee do it. I've seen Brat do it. I've seen Ruthie do it. And they were so in the zone about what they want to do. And it was so like just something really, the clarity of vision was so strong. James offered me the job when I was in Copenhagen. He saw me and I took the job. Yeah, great. It was really exciting. Hottest opening of the year. Great experience to be a part of that. Anything that hits with that kind of power in a city, it's great to be a part of, And so I, but it wasn't the wrong time for me because I'd already had my eye on like, right, I know what I want to do now.
Yeah.
And then luckily the Climpton's Arch thing. So Dave was leaving, and then because he did a fantastic pop-up in 2012, so probably one of my most influential summers, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, the Olympics were on, that kind of stuff, but like the pop-ups were going strong, right? So you had 10 Bells.
Yeah.
I think it was still going in 12.
Yeah.
Then you had like Dave, then a Tutor Wines, this type of thing.
Yeah.
Summer barbecues there. I don't know if you go to some of them. Did I see you in one of them?
Yeah.
I don't know.
You were there, mate.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think I did a collab with you guys about after.
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
About 2013 or something.
Yeah, that's right.
How can you not remember that?
No, of course I remember it, Freddie.
No, it was a big moment.
I was just carbon dating it in my head, thinking we were in the right period. It felt like it was later than that, but I think you are right. It was about 2013.
Yeah, I was. I could have. I don't remember. It was quite hazy at that time, so I was just basically trying to figure out. Right, let's do something. Yeah. So this opportunity came up to do my own thing there. So I was like, right, let's go for it.
Yeah.
Like I kind of knew what the restaurant I wanted to do. So I was like, right, if I just put everything behind this, I didn't have any really commitments at the time. You know, didn't have my children at the time, didn't have, you know, mortgage to pay at the time or whatever. You know, what you want to say, like. So I was like, right, if I can get this working, I spoke to Dave, and he was just, and then I saw his success in Singapore. You know, he went from there to Singapore. I was like, oh, God, that's worked. That's
cool.
What was on the menu in that? Can you remember your early menu?
Grilled peas. That's it. Yeah. No.
In your sieve. Yeah, exactly.
Do you remember that? Chef's Night Out. You were on one of those early episodes. I remember.
Yeah. We picked
doing
you.
your peas. Yeah, we picked
you.
Yeah. It's funny because I literally had myself in the kitchen. That's it, and whoever I could rope in to help. Basically, my sister some days, whatever, and. I had a grill that I think was kind of left over from Dave's time. I didn't try and do dishes that Dave did because he had a different type of barbecue inspired by his heritage, kind of his upbringing, so Australian or whatever. So I wasn't going to get into that one. I don't know enough about it. No. Why would I? So I thought I'd just do British cuisine over fire. So it was August, summer and stuff like that. I just did like grilled grouse with like would have fried on top of a piece of bread with like a sauce, like you'd like River Café when they do the kind of. I didn't use Barolo like the guys do, but I use some of the cheaper one. But then then grilled peas with ricotta with mint oil. Then you had like grilled cabbages covered in lava breads and crab. And like I was like, this is very tasty. I thought to myself, so I was like, hopefully other people think it is. And then it starts to get really, really busy and really. I think it just. I mean, again, I definitely didn't invite fire cooking in London, but at the time there wasn't much of it. No, so I guess at that time it was. I think people like the refreshingness of like, we just go and have beautiful peas, really well sourced, and Matt Chatfield would turn up from Warren's in Cornwall with some lobsters that he'd got, just deliver them. I would just split them, grill them, and send them to the guests, and then we'd have all the meat from Warren's as well. And there was a little magic moment actually at that time. I was pretty lucky. I think with anything that's reasonably successful, there's incredible hard work, but there's also luck. Yeah, and I obviously had a little bit of that with the fire cooking at that time. So Clympson's Arch went really well for me. It was hard work because it was kind of unpredictable because trying to lure people into this kind of random back street thing. Now it's quite
such a well-trodden path now, but
now it's quite bougie. It's kind of
the Kitty Fisher guys loved you because they came and nabbed you up
all the way.
Ben,
from
come
West
on, you
London.
said yesterday you loved the vibe in there. You said when he was behind the stove, head chef, your first proper head chef job.
Yeah.
David Cameron's there, Brad Pitt's on the other table. Oh, come on, it was a celeb hotspot.
And was it just you and Chris Leach, just the two of you in that? I came and interviewed you for a thing which didn't become a thing.
Oh,
well, I tried my best. But anyway, it was just the two of you, right? Or was it not down in that little basement kitchen?
Yeah, there was three sometimes. Yeah, so
Okay,
basically, I mean, the guys from Kitty's were. I mean, they lived in West London, like quite far west, and they travelled over on a random day to East London, and because they'd seen something on Instagram about grilling this grouse dish, and Tom, to his credit, thought, well, this was great, and like, do you want to come and do it in our restaurant? I hadn't thought about that. I hadn't thought about going to West because I'd left Shepherd's Bush. I was like, now in East End, I was thinking that was very cool. To be honest. East London, I was like, why did I go to West London? But then I went to see their site. It was absolutely beautiful.
In Shepherd's Market, right?
And the guys were great. They gave me the opportunity to give me full carte blanche to the menu. I mean, this is very rare. I haven't been a head chef before, really.
Yeah.
They took a punt on me. It's a fair play. They gave me a menu that they fancied doing. And I said, okay, I see where you're going, but let's just tweak a little bit of it just to make it, I think a little bit more exciting. And they were like, great, which was, that's a big credit to them because there's their cash going in. But I love the space though. It's so historical. Cool. That Georgian, I believe, old building. Really? And then it's got old wood ovens, baking ovens downstairs. Tiny 40-seater.
Come on, who are you cooking for?
It was
there?
so hypey, wasn't it? It was amazing,
it was so hypey. Yeah, it was.
Just give us some of the names who were enjoying your food there.
I mean, for me, probably you had, you had your kind of, you did have your politicians at the time. You kind of Boris's through to Camerons and that type of thing. But you also had people who I absolutely adore, such as Gary Oldman, which I really love him in the sense of like I love his artistry and his acting. And it wasn't like, it's probably the only time I was like, oh, that's cool, because he came in and he came into the kitchen and like it's the size of this table. The kitchen is tiny. Me and Chris are big, we're film buffs, so we love it. And then we also like kind of Oldman style films. Right? So me and Chris like, oh, it's great, and then he came in, had a chat. He came back the next day with his camera because he's a keen photographer, I believe. just take photos of everything. I was like, cool, that's
That
great.
is so cool.
Yeah, and it's also like, obviously, because it's me and Chris doing everything, we're pretty up against it every day. So not much time to like kind of just go schmooze through the room and stuff. But he was so lovely, and he actually engaging and talking about things. And then who else? Yeah, and there's a lot of those A-listers. I think proximity to hotels. I think it was amazing. You know, and it was it is fun. Like it was quite funny. Like when you like just. You had lots of these food people like Ramsey and Nigella and stuff coming in, and also got reviewed by A.A. Gill, which was really special.
What an honour.
Yeah, it was actually. The review wasn't bad either, 4 out of 5, which is good.
That's good.
I can't remember some of the lines. It's worth digging up on the Times actually if it's available, because whatever your thoughts on some of his, he's had a few digs at the Welsh over the years. So some of my family were like, but.
It's the best ever, isn't it?
Writing is beautiful.
Yeah.
His prose is beautiful to read.
Yeah.
And I so lucky. I wish he had a chance to come to Brat or something. I'd love to have seen his perspective on it.
Yeah.
I mean, he wrote beautifully about the whole setup, and then a few words about the food, and I was fine with that.
Did any of your dishes from there survive onto Brat or not?
Yeah, the grilled peas.
Yeah.
Not many actually. I think the thing that I suppose was a big thing for us was the Galician beef, the dairy cow.
So whose idea?
I remember you said that yesterday.
I just remember. I think it was Giles Corrin again. Someone just wrote this like glowing thing about the
it
dairy
was
cow.
remarkable. Again, Tom Mullion had recently been to the Basque country. I'd been a few times before then, and I'd been just recently to that, and I'd had this dairy cow quite a lot. And then Tom and I were like, should we put this dairy cow on? It's a bit wild, it's because it's a bit, I love it, but can we get it in? And then we found a supplier. It wasn't who supplies now, like Nemanja does a lot of supplying now through his restaurant Ikoyi and stuff, but there was another very eccentric character, which I've forgotten, and he used to just bring it in, and he was amazing, and we just deliver it and then sit there all day and just get drunk, and then we have to chuck him out at midnight. But he'd bring us the best of the best. So he was amazing. And it was funny because I wasn't really into kind of cooking non-native produce, because it's just not it's kind of what I like to cook. But I think as a one steak, it was so amazing. And I don't think, again, nobody was serving at the time.
No,
I'm sure maybe somewhere, but not. I think that was kind of at the time fairly.
Yeah, definitely. It was the first time I'd kind of seen it or heard it. It was a huge moment. You're very good at those moments.
Yeah, it was quite
kind of tapping into virality and just I don't know.
Yeah, and the flavour. Yeah, I mean, it was. It just meant that I knew that I had this beautiful steak, and when you're menu composing, I always feel like it's good to have a beginning, middle, and an end, right? So I always thought if I had some. Like a couple of starters that everyone's going to order, then you have so it was codra at the time, we don't do that anymore, and then you have the steak, smoked potatoes with a ton worth, and it was just I knew that would be such a great order for most people anyway, so I was happy. So it leaves you a little freedom around it. And the Galician was so delicious and so consistent because of this guy who brought it, this incredible guy from the Basque country.
Wow.
I've completely forgotten his name, but
what a legend.
Yeah, he was. I don't know how he's getting it in, but he brought it in anyway.
Yeah.
So
ask no questions.
But so that was a few years there. So me and Chris have been friends since we are 13, 14 years old.
Really?
We're both from North Wales. Yeah.
Right.
We were in bands together and this type of thing.
Okay.
So it's basically been.
Your dad was the longest serving lifeboat guy in the UK.
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
Is he still serving?
Well, he's on the. He's
ready if needed.
No, I don't think insurance can cover him anymore. But he's on the manager of the station, so
That's
he's not on the
unbelievable.
boat. Yeah, so he's still on there. Yeah, I don't think you'll ever get him off there.
Right. Go on.
He'll be there till his last days. Will be on that boat all the time.
What's next for you? Come on, 2 out of 2 strike rate, 2 incredible, 2 of the most iconic restaurants in London. Were you quite scared when you opened Mountain as a follow-up?
Yeah, I think you have to be a little bit right. I think it's sounds a bit cheesy, the second album thing. But though Clemson's Arch was in the mix before that, and it worked. Yeah. So we did give. I was like, okay, cool. So it is possible to do more than one thing. So we had Brat, and then we had a pandemic hit.
Yeah.
And then two months into it, I was like, what the hell are we going to do? So I was like, right, Clemson's. I remember that 10 years ago.
Yeah.
and called Ian from the owner of Clemson's, who was great, to be honest with you. I said, could we just do that again, just for 6 months, just to get us through. Everyone, we'll pay you, blah blah blah. And he was great. And then he said yes.
Carried on with it.
And then it's 5 years now. It's been open.
Wow.
And it's a fully open. So I don't know if you've been there recently, but it's completely changed since day one. Now it's a fully functioning restaurant. You know, it feels so different to the rest of anything in London. It's the same produce. And it's fantastic, and it's been there for 5 years, which is a huge success rate for any restaurant. Let alone what was meant to be a pop-up. What's happened is, so yes, you asked if I was scared or worried, whatever. Yes, but I had developed a team at Brat and then developed a team at the Arch, and I used the Arch as a little academy essentially for here. So Josine, one of my probably the first person I employed really at Brat, I think CDP or like a junior chef. Went through the ranks. He became head chef, you know, at Clemson's Arch and Brat, and then he opened Mountain with me. The guy, he's also running the Welsh project with me today. So we have this kind of like. I saw
him at breakfast.
Yeah, you have this kind of like. So yes, I was worried about opening it, but then again, I did have some people around me. He's one of them who I kind of had I said, we've done a pandemic together and a restaurant in the pandemic. Surely, if we can do that,
we can take over Soho. Beaky Street doesn't know what's coming.
So it was kind of, but then and again, I'm so confident with Ben and Brian. They're great partners, and we love, you know, we work. Again, we all have our strengths, and we kind of bring it all together. And I always wanted to go back to West End, you know, Soho. And then it's not Mayfair, but it's sorry, I'm just going to turn the phone. Yeah, so and Soho's incredible, right? It's the best of every world. It's like it's close enough to the west to Mayfair that you get some of the kind of West End crowd. You've also got the kind of community feel in Soho, which feels like a village. It's incredible. And I wanted, again, for me, it's creating bustling restaurants that, like, the restaurant is big. Yeah, it's like 120 covers. So that's double the size of Brat. But it just meant that we were able to be doubly ambitious, if that makes any sense. So we're able to have a bakery there, a full pastry kitchen, not like Brat's and stuff. So now we can buy these amazing grains and flours from fantastic little mills and tell them, we need kilos a week, kilos and kilos, so they can then employ more people, and then we can do a cheese program. Beautiful. Then we can do all these kind of things. So I think there's an association with like big is like quality goes down when it's bigger. I think it's the other way around, because you can go to these small productions like Vellinganol, which is up the road here, small, run by Anne Parry. She has a water mill, the stone ground flour, which you're going to try in the breads, with Welsh heritage grains. They mill on order, right? So if I had a small restaurant, whatever, you ask for like a bag like this, they have to do the whole shebang. But if I can tell them I need, I don't know, 50 kilos, whatever, they can get out of bed and do it, knowing they're going to get paid, and you can help them. Also, and the community. The guest gets this amazing product. The baker gets the worst. So one thing is logistically quite tricky running a big restaurant, but I also think it's ambitious, and you can actually do better product if you can get that right. Obviously, there's been a few bumps in the road.
So go on, what's next? Come on, give us an exclusive on the Go To Food podcast, brought to you by Blink, the greatest PR system in the world.
I'll probably just not leave here for a bit, actually. For them,
that must be a temptation.
Come on, you must be looking at something. Come on.
Not for me, but I think
come on.
Not for me right now. I think I need to get this. I think Mountain is I want that to become like a institution restaurant. You know, for me, it's all about, and Super 8 restaurants. You know, my partners is like building trailblazing restaurants that turn into institutions. So I think Brat is getting into that point, and I kind of would like Mountain to become like. I just want to I was at River Café on Sunday. I was lucky enough to go there for lunch. We went for a special occasion, and 38 years later, it's still buzzy. I know it's like change over time, etc., because things naturally will. But you know, I love to be sitting back, and Mountain would be like 20, 25 years in. I've got no exclusives actually at the moment. Sorry, but
that's fine.
I would.
Well, I've got an exclusive for you. Today's show is brought to you by Blink, the greatest POS system in the world. The UK hero is flipping the POS world on its head. There are no contracts, no hidden fees, and no pet advice nonsense. I hope the Super 8 boys are listening, because they should get all their restaurants on Blink. It's the first POS so simple, even Ben could master it in a matter of minutes.
I did master it.
You did. And for just £69 a month for unlimited devices, proper 24/7 UK support and zero headaches. That's better than half the price of anyone else out there. Use the code GOTOBLINK with a Q, you get a free month. Why not? Or you send in your kitchen nightmare and we'll give you a whole year's worth. If Ben likes your story, that is. And there's a chance he will. He's in a good mood. He's relaxed.
I am.
He's done his cold plunge this morning in his little sauna. He's feeling revived.
I feel a new man.
We're going to finish off with some quickfires. Come on. Starting with your favourite foodie scent. What is it?
Scent. Like,
this is your new question. I like this one, Freddie.
Yeah, so do I.
What is my favourite? Well, when I come into... So my least favourite is one of the things when I come into Mountain, we serve a lot of tripe there.
Right,
Blanching tripe is an interesting way to wake up in the morning,
Yeah,
right?
it's
So
not
that's not my favourite.
Yeah.
So, but then next to it, we've got the baking section, right? So baking ensaimadas in the morning. So you've got the one thing, if you kind of go this way, you've got the smell of the braising tripe, and then you've got the baked ensaimada.
Yeah.
So you kind of like...
It's like a sidestepping game.
Exactly. So it's probably baked ensaimadas in the wood-fired oven. It is incredible, and it's beautiful. But then I have to then deal with the tripe on the side.
Tripe,
Yeah.
I know. Well, you've only
It's
got
tough
yourself
life.
to blame.
Yeah, tough life.
What's the worst food fad? Are there
Um,
any fads that you'd like to see the back of?
food fads. Those corn ribs stress me out a little bit, even out of season.
Yeah, stress me out as well.
Because they're like, I've had them in kind of fine, but like
They're uncomfortable, aren't they?
yeah, but also it's like they're always everywhere. Like, and also like I find that like even when corn's out of season,
It's corn ribs.
it's corn ribs, and I'm just like okay. And so those things I can't have. I'm trying to think of anything else. Yeah, no, that's kind of.
No, I'm corn ribs.
Nightmare day. What's the worst day you've ever had?
Could win a year's free supply of Blink here.
You
Freddie.
good?
for kitchen in the
Yeah,
kitchen.
restaurant kitchens.
Worst thing. Oh my god. Let me think. Jeez. Oh no, you really put me on the spot.
Sorry.
You can edit this, right?
Yeah,
You can
cool.
short it,
Yeah.
worst day in the kitchen.
Nightmare day. It all went wrong. You wanted to stop it. Maybe you wanted to.
Have you ever had a day like where the fire's gone, or like a ridiculous thing?
Yeah, numerous times, because even when we opened Mountain, all the reviewers came in and why does my sister keep on calling me?
Sorry.
We need
Probably kept you a bit longer than.
No, it's okay.
We have.
It's
What
fine.
are we on? Hour and 18.
It's okay. It's fine. No, I will think.
We could just.
Okay, no, it's okay. Yeah, I'll go on. It's
Okay.
fine. Yeah, I think it's kind of the best and the worst at the same time. So when I pre-opening Brat, I asked the Royal Academy if I could do banquets in the courtyard. Do you know
Oh,
that?
I remember that.
Yeah. So anyway,
You're doing something on cedar planks or something?
yeah.
Right, yeah.
So anyway, it's all going well.
Sorry.
So no, it's beautiful. We've got Rhys, our friend, to build these beautiful grills, which are like almost like sculptures. Right?
Yeah.
Had them in the middle. Had this big banqueting table. First time they ever let anyone cook in the Royal Academy. So I was like, oh, cool. This is quite cool. That iconic summer.
Yeah.
I think it was Pride Week, so it was a great buzz around the city and etc. It had a load of journos there, a load of friends. So it's all very lovely. I tried out doing turbots for all these people, and we did cedar wood trouts and this type of thing. Anyway, one of these turbots fell down because these were the grills that look cool. I'm not sure if they work. So one of the turbots slipped down the back and just went on fire, kind of thing, and blew up. Anyway, the amount of smoke that pillowed out to the RA, but it was okay, but pillowed out, right?
Up in the courtyard, basically.
Yeah, in the courtyard. So so all you could see from probably anywhere else in London was just the RA on fire.
Like the RA's burning.
Fire engines just like streaming down that road straight into the courtyard, right? And they were just so angry, right? Because they were because it's a big deal, to
who
see
let
the
this guy
RA on
cook in
fire.
here?
I'm just cooking some turbos, guys. And then they didn't see the funny side of it whatsoever. And I was just trying to be like a cocky young chef. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. It's fine,
And
we
it
got
was all these journalists there and all these people, and it was quite I had to stop everything. They paid quite a lot of money, but it was okay in the end. But that was one of the most stressful times I've had. Basically almost burning down that beautiful art collection.
Wouldn't have been
stressful.
the one.
No. I wouldn't. No, not just before opening Brat. No.
Where are we, Freddie? Rudest customer. Have you had any little rotters in? People causing trouble?
Let me think. We've had some. Oh my god! I need to think of something. Yeah.
Come on, there must have been some nightmare guys.
Yeah, there must have been.
I mean,
I heard Adam
pop up.
Yeah, I heard Adam talking about the clicking finger guy.
Clicking.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe people clicking.
Yeah.
There's
always those guys who ask to speak to the manager, and all my GMs are female. And then when they go over and say, well, I'm the manager, they'll say, oh, can I speak to the manager? And they're like, yeah, I am the manager. And then it's like, I'm like, what the?
It's always shocking that.
That's happened a couple of times. I'm like,
really?
Yeah, and I'm like, what are you? Like, what planet? Where are you
living?
from?
You're under a rock.
I'm trying to think of. I'm like,
we actually met your manager this morning.
Yeah. You asked to speak to the manager.
Yeah.
No, I think it's up. Yeah, and let me think if there's anyone that's been. There are definitely loads that's been rude, and I'm just trying to think of them right now. Obviously, you can edit this, but with your fantastic editing skills,
I can edit.
You'll be trimming.
There was one. I can't think. My brain's gone.
No, I think the manager one's good.
Oh, it's horrific.
No, it's a good answer though.
No, it's in it. Yeah.
Well, let's move on to go-to locations.
Let's get some locations ready.
Where is your go-to weeknight restaurant? Nothing fancy. You're going out for a nice little meal. Where are you heading?
I mean, I'm going to have to be slightly biased with Kiln, but I do love going there. I also like. Well, I live in Walthamstow area, near Leighton area, so Singbury was great up there. I know it's moved location, but that was great there. I think my ultimate one though. So you've got a few things. So you've got a little Soho evening, so you can go to French House, you can go to Kiln. But I think for me, it's like sushi Jugemu, which is right in the middle of Soho. It's kind of tricky to find it. It's next to one of those bubble tea places, which doesn't really narrow it down. But it is one of those. But Jugemu, it's like you've gone to Tokyo basically.
Oh,
and it's gone through you go through little curtains, and I think it's been there for a while.
Yeah.
I think it's family business.
Nice.
And it's really, really, it's great. And it's like an izakaya stuff.
Yeah.
And delicious. Not
Sounds
expensive.
unbelievable.
It actually took me ages to realize it was there as well.
Yeah.
But then now I go there so often, and it's truly like an escape,
Yeah.
It's transportive.
Yeah. Cannot wait to go. Might go off on Sunday.
Yeah.
Get off the train.
Yeah.
Anyway, what about for a blowout celebratory supper? Where would you be heading?
I mean, I did have a blowout 2 weeks ago where I went to Ikoyi.
Oh, nice.
And that was, it's
a unique spot.
It's unique, and the food is truly exceptional.
Yeah.
I mean, what's on the plate is exceptional, right? I mean, if I'm going for food only, that's the place, right? It is mind-blowing. Yeah. What Jeremy's doing there is absolutely extraordinary. I'm friends with Jeremy. I've known him for years. In fact, I've known him before he's cooking. He's kind of friends with my wife. I think they went to kind of similar schools or college or something. But it's just remarkable what he does. I think it's fantastic. It's just, there's probably other restaurants I'd go to for like a kind of more atmospheric kind of dressy thing situation. But for what's on the plate, you're there for quite a few hours. You have to be ready for that type of moment.
Yeah.
Mind blowing. Probably the best cuisine.
Yeah, amazing.
I'm sorry to be the age of death, but we're going to move on.
Go.
Okay.
We're finishing now. Okay.
So
sorry.
No.
Right, we're going to finish with the final question. Quick one. Where's your dream weekend getaway? Foodie.
I'm going to have to say northern Spain, aren't I?
Yeah.
You are.
It's going to have to be from Galicia, though. Galicia as well as the Basque country. Galicia is, as you're going to see here, are you familiar with Galicia? But
yeah. Well,
I mean, it looks like here, it's rainy, it's green, it's it's a little bit away from the San Sebastian kind of hustle and bustle, which is great. But Galicia is just so fresh, and you find some real hidden gems there.
Yeah, amazing.
And everything is less touristy, so you really get access to beautiful produce. It's fantastic driving or walking around that area.
It's amazing.
Well, come on, Ben. We're going to have to finish off, but you've been absolutely incredible. Thank you so
Thanks
much.
so much
We
for
can't
coming
wait
down,
to
everyone.
come this evening for Brat X
Yeah.
I cannot wait.
Mountain.
So you're going to need to learn some Welsh in that time. So
Yeah,
to
we're
say
good.
thank you is diolch. Okay,
Diolch.
so
Diolch.
I'll be expecting that.
Diolch.
later.
Diolch.
We're on it. I'm
Come on, Ben. Let's finish up
Duolingo is
then.
currently downloading. Right.
Okay.
What is your go-to 3-course meal?
So I'll probably start off with sashimi from
Yeah.
like maybe some of the Cornish suppliers. That's
Nice.
incredible. And then it has to be whole fish over fire. Like it's just my favorite. It's my passion. It's like what it comes down to. With beautiful green salads, and then we're going for pudding. I know it's a bit. I just love like comforting puddings.
Yeah.
Like for me, it's like comforting puddings, like sticky toffee pudding.
Oh,
And of that level, like I had, Ikoyi did a version with like date pudding thing with like a brown butter ice cream with like raspberry. It was amazing.
Yeah.
And like I love the comforting element of a pudding. For me, puddings have a little bit of comfort.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're going to give you a little hug, a little squeeze.
Yeah.
Thomas, you've been incredible. Congratulations on all your success. Thank you so much for having us down here. We're going to finish off the final question. What song do you want us to play you out with?
That's always the hardest one, Freddie.
Finish off with something from Super Furry Animals, and I think something off the album Phantom Power, which is quite old now.
Beautiful.
So over like nearly 20 years old.
Wow,
So
beautiful.
shows my age a little bit.
Well, Thomas, thank you so much, mate. Good luck with it all, and
Thank you
we will
so
see you
much,
later
guys.
tonight. We're going to have to let you go.
Yeah.
You've got so much to do.
Sorry for keeping you too long.
No, it's a pleasure, guys. Thank you very much for coming
That
all
was
this
brilliant.
way.
No,
I
it's
appreciate
thank you.
it.
Really
unbelievable.
massive.
And shout out to Forest as well. It's an
Exactly,
extraordinary
yeah.
place.
Yeah.
It
Oh,
is.
We're
good.
gonna, yeah.
And you haven't really seen it all
We haven't
yet,
explored
so,
it properly yet.
you know,
Yeah.
Enjoy
But
it, guys.